Mindset Podcast. We're your guide as you make your way through life, getting better 1% every day. We believe that life is lived and true victory won through adversity. Nothing easy is ever worth it. We believe in the warrior ethos and support those that choose to walk that path.
Hello. What's happening, man?
Just being sleepy, I guess.
Sleepy.
Yeah.
First podcast. So we have some great conversations, and I wanted to get you on just to see if we could recreate some of those conversations because I think they're fun, and I enjoy them. So this is my show. I can do what I want. So welcome to podcast.
Thank you.
This is my son, my oldest son, Thomas. He is also a black belt, first degree, under the same teacher that I have, and it's been an interesting journey, I would have to say, huh?
Oh yeah.
So how long have you been practicing martial arts, you think?
I started karate in 4th grade. So that was about
Right. And for the record, you're 19, soon to be 20.
a decade ago, yep.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy to think about.
What's it? So my journey is very different because I started actually not long after you. I mean, we kind of started almost the same time.
Pretty much.
Just that you started much younger, as a much younger
Right.
person than me. I mean, I started as an adult. So my journey was very different, probably faster in some ways, but also probably slower in some ways, maybe even less effective in some ways. Have you thought about that before?
I could see that, I guess. It's easier for children to learn things and grow with them over
Mhm.
time.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I guess their skill set just isn't as set in stone. They're supposed to grow into everything, so
Right.
the more skills they develop early on, the better, I guess.
Right. It's a bit of a slower ride, I imagine. Not so focused. Did you find that when you think back on it, you were like concerned with progressing, or was it just like a place to hang out? You know, just a place we dropped you off or whatever. I mean, was that really it at the beginning? I mean, I know it changed after a while, but
Yeah, early on that was basically it.
yeah.
But around like an intermediate level, like yellow, orange belt,
Mm-hmm.
year or two in, you start to get concerned about like how you're progressing compared to other people
Mm.
who are in your classes and stuff like that, and they're also doing karate right alongside you. Some of them being the exact same rank as you, like you move up the ranks at the same time almost.
Right.
But after a while, that stops mattering. Definitely.
Yeah. Why is that though?
So like the farther along you get, the more time there is between each rank.
Mm-hmm.
So like probably blue belt, green belt, brown belt.
Mm-hmm.
When you start to get more matured in your martial arts experiences,
Right.
you start to like you've been doing it a while, you start to feel like the like a rank test in particular is for us with our teacher, it's very challenging. So it's a lot more of an inward journey
Mm-hmm.
and like triumphing through the challenge, but also through the challenge of the overcoming like mental blocks like that
Right.
stop you.
Yeah. That's kind of my favorite part, honestly.
Oh yeah.
I think, yeah, when I think about it, I think that's probably where you get the most out of it. You know, the physical stuff is one thing, you know, and I think you definitely have an advantage there because you started younger, right?
Right.
Your body kind of can build into it.
Yeah.
versus mine, where it was like I had to figure out how to actually accomplish these things, like physically.
Yeah.
Sort of a different approach. So let's talk about your Shodan test, your black belt first degree test. That was interesting, right?
Yeah. That was. Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun.
So, in our school, where we studied, we have a 3-day. I know. I think there are some schools that do that too, but ours is a 3-day um, adventure. Probably is a good way to put it.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
What were some of your like memories or experiences getting ready for that thing?
Getting ready for it.
Yeah, because we did a lot of work together to get ready.
Yes. I think getting ready for it, that whole year leading up to it, is probably the period, martial arts wise, that I grew the most.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like.
Mm. Yeah, I would say the same thing.
Yep.
Because you don't want to say like that black belt's the end, right? Because it's not. Once you've gone through that and you've achieved that, you realize, wow, there's way more that I don't know than what I think I know.
Right.
Well, hopefully, I mean, I think if you're worth your salt, you know that, but or you learn that, but it is sort of a huge milestone, right? It's like
Right.
it's like a thing.
Oh yeah.
Whether you put it on yourself, your teacher puts it on you, or like society puts it on you, because it's like everybody knows what that rank means. Even people that don't practice anything, they know what that rank means. So you have that existential weight, I think, that gets put on it.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about dealing with that? I mean, how do you think you dealt with that? Would you just roll with the punches, or?
So
'Cause
we
it
had.
gave me a lot of anxiety
Oh yeah,
personally.
definitely. But we had a whole year,
Mhm.
a whole year to prepare, in
Mm.
quotes, because I mean you've been preparing since the first time you took karate.
Mhm.
Like everything you've learned is helping you, but like focusing on the challenge of the black belt test itself, you have a whole year
Mhm.
ahead of time of knowing about it, so you have a lot of time to build up. And in that time, I mean, I was very anxious and all that, but I also felt that I was much more prepared at the end of the year than I was at the beginning.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
And I felt that the challenge of the black belt test help drive me and propel me forward towards being in a position where I was ready to take the challenge.
Yeah. I will say, watching you, it seems like, in a way, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like, and it seems like that year, getting ready for it, going through it, maybe a little bit the year after, you really found a love for martial arts.
Definitely.
Like, I feel that from you. I mean, we started, I would take you guys, you and your brother, I'd take you everywhere. But now you kind of like, you just go on your own, like, to the gym. I mean, the listeners here know that I own a gym. And our dojo, my dojo, is inside the gym.
Right.
But you'll just go on your own and do things. And I don't know many people that will do that. There's a very few people I know will go and just do something like self-directed on their own. That's like whatever martial arts related. Not to mention work out. Like there are a lot of people that'll work out by themselves, but I mean, what was it? What made you? What I mean, how did you find that? Like, where did that come from? Just like, this is what I do now.
Yeah. Well, I feel like
I mean, do you carry it as part of your personal identity?
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think that year of preparation for black belt test and then becoming a black belt helped with that, because it's like it's I mean, in a like general sense, it's like a being certified at a skill,
Oh,
almost. Like,
yeah.
and any like skill that's like of that level is becomes a part of your identity.
Right.
and it shapes you. But I feel like, so my black belt test it took place halfway through my senior year of
Mhm.
high school. And then I feel like my freshman year in college, I didn't really do martial arts that much,
Mm.
but I wanted to do it more because of that, because I was missing out on it, because I did it all the time before.
Yeah.
And I feel like that helped it a lot because now I seek it out more.
Mm. Mhm. Yeah, like,
It wasn't as available, so now I go out of my way.
yeah, and when I have the opportunity to do it, I need to really get the most out of it.
Oh, yeah.
I feel you there. That's for sure. I've sort of myself, I feel that a lot because I do more teaching and coaching than I do more teaching and coaching than I did my own training, getting ready for my own black belt test. Isn't that weird?
That's weird to think about. Yeah.
So I do miss my own training too. Like just the other weekend, we did a big like outdoor conditioning thing, and that was I find that I enjoy it, like I genuinely deeply enjoy it more than before. Because before it was like I like it, but there's this goal I'm working towards, and it's a thing that I need to get through in order to then position myself to get to this goal. So it's like just a thing that's in my
It's a
way.
hurdle, yeah.
Yeah. Now it's like not a hurdle. It's like this is a thing
Yeah,
that
you look forward to it.
I want to go have
Right.
fun and do that, even though
yeah.
it's like painful and like most people don't do it, and they think it sucks and the mentality is not right about it.
Well, it does kind of suck.
It sucks a lot, but that's the point. All right, so let's talk about your test a little bit because that was an interesting weekend. What's something that you remember?
So the first big thing we did, we got there. We got there Friday morning at 4 a.m.
Yeah, it starts like 4 a.m. on a Friday.
Right.
It ends at like 10 or 11 p.m. on a Sunday. Speaking of
Yeah.
sucky things most people won't do.
Right. And so one of the challenges of the black belt test is that you're supposed to clean the entire dojo.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to bring all the supplies yourself, and you're supposed to clean it, and you're supposed to clean it in between all of the other challenges.
Yeah, that's
So it's
something
a little bit of it. Yeah,
that's
so it's
something
a
they
little,
don't tell you.
yeah,
You're like, oh, cool, I can clean. But they don't tell you, we're not actually going to give you time to clean.
yeah. And then later on that day, because we get there, and actually it's not later on. It was like probably like 2 hours later
Yeah.
after we get settled in. We got into the back of a truck and we drove all the way up to Harbison Forest, and we
Which is like
hiked, yeah.
for people that don't know where we are, what that is, but it's just what is it? It's like
It's a state forest, I think.
yeah, I mean, it's the woods, it's the forest.
Yeah, it's the
like
woods.
trails and river and
Right.
miles and miles and miles of hiking trails. Yeah. So
Right.
sorry.
And we hiked around the perimeter, and the challenge of it is that we had to stop at set points along the trail and perform a kata and record it. And that had its own logistics issues to deal with because we only had like one camera, and we had one battery, and we had a backup battery that was not charged. So we got all of our kata recorded like barely.
Yeah.
Like we ran out of battery right at the end of the last one. Yeah.
Can't mess around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of my favorite parts. Is
That was very fun though.
Yeah.
Because we hike around Harbison regularly, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, we do rucks and stuff all the time. Yeah, so
that part of it that would have been challenging had I not prepared for that, but we did prepare for that, so it felt good.
Yeah,
to
it
do
was in
that.
your wheelhouse. How do you think the others who were not used to that sort of a thing fared? You think it was extra painful, or?
I definitely think it would have been extra painful because if you hadn't like been used to hiking, because we hiked pretty far, it was probably like 15 miles, something
Easily,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah,
12 to 15 miles, I'm sure.
something like that.
Mhm.
I mean, if you don't hike regularly, then that sucks.
Yeah, the perimeter of Harbison is 12 miles, I think.
Okay, yeah, then
They call it a
about 12
12-mile
miles.
loop. So easily. I mean, doesn't count
Yeah, it doesn't count
all the
the
inside. Yeah,
the shortcuts and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that was a big part. Anything else you remember that stands out?
So
Because
that
I have
was
my own that I remember for you, but
yeah. So that was the first day, and then the next day is the whole
Mhm.
karate exhibition part of it,
Yeah,
where we stand in front of a panel of probably like 50 judges.
it was a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people.
Sensei literally had a ring of tables and chairs that went around, and he's moved into a new school now, but that school it was big.
Yeah, it's
It was
pretty big
it's a
for karate
big
school. Yeah,
dojo to begin
it's
with,
pretty big for karate
and
school,
then
honestly.
all the way around.
Yeah, that
Easily
was
50.
is yeah.
Yeah. What did that feel like walking out? Because he has you in that back room, and I'll tell you a story about mine. He has you in that back room, and then he kind of, I know he probably did it the same way. He's like, "You good to go?" or whatever.
Right.
Let's go. Or he's like, "Get over here," or whatever, and you go out. You're like, "What the hell am I? What am I gotten
Yeah, I
myself
was
into?"
super nervous before that.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
where I was the most nervous.
Me too.
That moment right before where it's like like right before it,
Me too.
I hadn't done anything yet. Yeah, that was very stressful.
So mine, um, we'd stayed up all night basically. And I might even be getting my timeline messed up here, but I'm pretty sure this was the night we were up, working on the mats. They weren't going back down quite right. All the mats on the floor. One of the things that you do is you pick them all up and clean under them and put them back, right? So that was our first assignment, and I don't think we got through it, but we're still working into the night, and then we had another big. I say big. It was like 10 o'clock that night. You know, have this other assignment. I mean, it's a big one. It's like go, do construction basically. So we do that. I mean, it's like all night. So we're up, maybe like a couple hours of sleep, and the next day comes. It's like whatever time. I don't even remember what time. He's like, I know he's coming in soon to come get us, and I thought I was slick. I had So one of the things you do is you bring food. I mean, you have to eat and
Right.
drink. So you bring food and water that lasts 3 days. And you have a cooler. You can get a cooler, pretty much whatever size, but a cooler. You don't want too big a one because you might have to move it around. But
Right.
have a cooler that you bring. And I had all my stuff in there. But I thought I was slick because I knew that we wouldn't have like chairs, because that would be too comfortable. So I got one that I could sit on top of. It was like the lid was like a chair. Yeah, I got you. Anyway, so I'm sitting on top of this thing, just getting ready, and I'm exhausted already. And I know I have how long? It's like another 12 hours of like the
Yeah,
entire day.
it
It's
was
like sunrise, well past sunset.
yes.
We were working on the exhibition part you're talking about, and he comes in, he's like, "All right, man, you ready? Let's go." And I go to stand up, and both of my legs completely like cramped. Like
Oh
from
my
hip
gosh, that
to
sucks.
ankle, just totally, and I couldn't get up. Like I was like
Oh man.
halfway between getting up, and I couldn't move, and I'm like, and like I don't know if you've had cramps before. These were like
Yeah,
debilitating, and
man.
because I clearly wasn't drinking enough water, but I'm like, and he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I don't know what I was like. I was like nothing, and like just started moving, and just forced myself through
Oh
cramps to
man.
just walk, and then walked it off by the time I got out there. But like literally walk on the floor, and I'm shaking, but not because I'm nervous, like because my legs were literally locked up. I mean, I was nervous too, but
Right.
that was my like, how are we going to get out there? This is crazy. Um, there's like 30 or 40 people like just waiting for you to
Yeah.
mess up, but
Yes, they
they're
were.
like sharks
Yeah.
swimming around their prey. They're just waiting for you to mess up. So, what about you? You just remember being nervous and going out there?
Yeah. I mean, me and the other contestants, I guess I'll call us
Candidates, maybe would be the
candidates.
word.
Yeah, that's a better word. We're like pseudo strategizing, trying to
Oh,
figure out like what are we gonna do? Like what do we have to do?
okay.
Like just trying to figure out like what are we about to do, and
Right.
like what can we do right now to. I mean, there's not like much you can do other
Yeah.
than think about it.
Yeah. What can we do to get ready?
But yeah,
And that's interesting because I think as a human being, that's doing something that's important to you, and you're doing something you care about, you become like hyper focused on like preparing for the next like 10 minutes.
right.
It's kind of a weird thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
all you care about is like the next room. How am I gonna? What's going on in there, and how do I get ready for it? I need to know what's. It's like just chill. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Do you? I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think you've kind of gotten to a point personally where you know going through that? Now you're kind of like I can just sort of like just relax almost
Definitely.
and just kind of deal with things as they come instead of fixating on those moments right before they come.
Right. I do feel like that. I feel a little bit less stressed
Yeah.
about things coming in the future.
Yeah. It's funny how putting yourself in a situation like that or a super stressful, physically stressful too, moment can sort of outfit you to deal with stress later. I think it seems like most people live their lives just trying to avoid stress altogether,
Right.
right? Which I mean, that's not a bad way to. I mean, nobody wants stress. It's not something you want to deal with all the time. But I think seeking it out and overcoming it can really arm you to deal with stress. You know,
Right. And I feel like it minimizes stress to the point that avoiding it can sort of avoiding it can cause more. Dealing with it in that fashion can help you avoid it as well because you don't have sometimes you won't even have that feeling if it's something that would have previously stressed you out, but you've done it so many times.
right, right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, don't run from your
Right.
problems.
Because like performing a kata in front of like one other person is nothing if you've had to perform if you've gone through that black belt test and you've had to perform it in front of
Right.
50 people
Yeah, it's funny. You go from
who
like
are all critical.
yeah, they all have their own opinions.
Yeah.
And they all do things slightly differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard one to overcome. Yeah, because the the words I remember are hey, there's 50 people in the room. You have to make them all happy.
Yeah.
How the hell do I do that? You did though. You did. I mean, it's kind of crazy, right?
It is. It's very
Because they're not
surreal
responding, and
feeling.
I think that's a good metaphor for like life because they're not going to respond to the minute details. Maybe they do something slightly differently, like maybe they block here at their elbow, but we block up by our ear or something. They're
Right.
not gonna. I mean, they might say something about it, but they're not gonna like, oh, you failed. You're doing it wrong because it's wrong for me. It's the other things that they want to see. They want to see you stand up to that fear and push through it.
Right. Well, most of the time. Sometimes
Well,
they would give you they would tell you to do something a certain way that
Yeah.
was not at all the way you
Right.
practiced it previously.
That some
It's
some
like
people,
a nitpicky
yeah,
detail, and it's like, come on.
some people, some people are like that for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I can remember who. I will tell you my favorite moment in me and Sensei, our Sensei. I talk about this with him a lot. As I've never spoken to you about it. So if anything, just this show is cool to just do this. But there was a moment where you were doing push-ups. You probably know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
You were doing push-ups, and I don't remember how many it was. It was a lot.
Yeah, it was something.
It was a bunch.
Yeah, it was probably like 80. I think it was 80.
It was a bunch in a row.
Yeah.
It was a lot. 80, 50 to 80. I don't remember. But you had been working out with me. You've been doing stuff, and we do a lot of CrossFit and stuff. And our push-ups are very different. Like we work on push-ups to build strength. So we go all the way down and we go all the way up.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like a It's like to build strength. It's not to do a large amount of push-ups, right? It's like pull-ups. Like
Right.
people give CrossFitters crap all the time because they do like kipping pull-ups. Well, yeah, it's not a strict one. Strict ones for building strength. You're not going to do 50 in a row, the strict ones. I mean, maybe you are. You might be awesome, but like that's not what it's for. You do the kipping ones to do 50 in a row as fast as possible. That's why you have that motion. It's the same thing. We're doing the push-ups to build strength. Anyway, you got like, I don't know, 20 in or whatever, and you burned out. Like, because it happens.
Right.
Like your muscles give out because you're literally like lifting weights. You're doing it to
Yes.
whatever. And I think the other candidates were, I don't want to say smarter because it's not the point. They were doing like what you would expect if you were doing a bunch of them, kind of just real fast and not all
Right.
the way chest to the floor and back up, which is totally acceptable.
Yeah, it is totally acceptable.
And they got theirs done, but you were still doing yours. And this
Right.
guy, Mr. Taylor is who we're talking about, but this guy, pretty scary, can be a scary guy. He just comes over and he's like standing over you and he's like yelling at you basically. Like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you do these? These other people can do them. What's wrong with you? But you kept doing it. You just did it. You didn't like react to him. You just kept going. And that was one of the moments that I remember. And I feel like it was a really pivotal moment that I was witnessing and sort of like flipping that switch and like, you can't hurt me. You can't bother me.
Yeah.
Like doesn't matter. Like I don't, you want to do it because you know they're on the panel and stuff, but you're like, I don't really care what you think. I'm just
Right.
doing this work. I'm doing the work. There we go. And I'll get it done no matter what. And it's that switch that flips. I felt like I saw it literally flip.
Yeah, I feel like in that moment I kind of like got it. I got the game aspect of it
Mm-hmm.
where it's like in a situation where someone's being super strict on you and they're being super strict on you not because of any like personal or emotional
Right.
thing at all, but it's
Right.
because they're supposed to give you that pressure and realizing that's it. They're just giving you the pressure
Yep.
just because you're supposed to have pressure and then realizing that doesn't matter then. Like it doesn't mean anything then. They don't actually care.
Yep.
And that kind of helps you. It's like, okay, well then shut up. I don't like why are you talking to me then?
Yeah. Yep. In your brain, that's what you do.
Right.
You just get that tunnel vision and you just do it.
Yeah. Well, you just stop focusing on it.
Yeah. And I suppose the wrong reaction is to like flip out and why are you yelling at me and stand up
Right.
and walk away. I mean, I've seen people do stuff like that.
Because they're trying to get a reaction
Right.
to make it harder for you because they're doing that only to make it harder for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the only solution to that is to not react to them.
Yeah. Just get the job done.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, is that, do you think about that or do you think about it just because I bring it up?
It does cross my mind occasionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That was a really cool
Yeah, that was a good
thing.
moment.
I remember that. I actually have a picture of that. If I was slick, I'd bring it up, but I'm not that slick. But yeah. And then I remember being in the mountains. I think you guys went up to the Smoky Mountains or whatever, and we came up there and met you at the end of it because this was during COVID.
Right.
Right? When was this? This was like January.
That was the January after COVID.
Yeah. So
January 2021.
Yeah, we weren't having big gatherings, or anything like that, because normally it's like a bigger gathering of people and stuff. We're necessarily doing all that with, the general public.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't having this group with like 200 people, which, when you go through all that, usually there's a big party at the end or whatever, and we weren't doing that. But that was a cool moment too, because I don't know that you knew we were going to be there.
I did not know. I had no idea where we were going.
Yeah.
So that was Sunday because the whole like demonstration part of it was Saturday, and then the next day was Sunday, and we got up super early and we drove all the way up to the Blue Ridge Parkway somewhere. I have no idea where we went. and we just got off the parkway and went into the woods a little bit, and we were supposed to dig up a time capsule
Yep.
and then put something in it and then bury it.
Yeah.
And it was very deep underground.
Yes. You're welcome. I'm pretty sure I put that there. Yeah. It was very deep. It was a whole person deep. Made sure it was a person's height deep. It was down there. Oof. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a cool experience. I kind of feel sorry for people who don't have an experience like that on a certain level. You know, they haven't. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, while it's long and it's painful and it's scary, it's a super positive experience
Right.
when you get through it. Like, I don't know that I've, you know, I feel like it's something everyone should kind of go through, you know, in one fashion or another.
Yeah.
Help you really grow, you know, personally.
Yep. Overcoming a large physical, but also maybe an emotional obstacle at the same time.
Yeah, it's important. I think maybe that's why, you know, people seek out things like Spartan races and
Yeah, definitely.
Go Ruck events and things. I think that's why people seek that out, because they want that obstacle to overcome, you know. And it's a good one because it's not a you know, it's not like actual war. You know what I mean? Because I could imagine that that's a negative experience.
Right.
You know what I mean? That you turn positive. You know, it's not on the same level. It's like, that's really bad. This is not, you know, we're putting ourselves in this position. We're allowing this to happen to us. So it's, you know, it's positive at the beginning. I think I think people should seek something like that out. I mean, we've done several Spartan races together, and you definitely get a similar vibe, I would say.
Yes, it's very similar.
Yeah.
And you get different scales of them too for different types of people.
Yeah. The Beast we did it was last year.
Last year, yep.
Got the trifecta. What'd you think of that experience?
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, we need to do that again in 2023. A little too late this year because it's like November.
Yeah.
Yeah, so trifecta, if you haven't done a Spartan race, it's 3 of the Spartan races every. I suppose they have the other ones. They have like stadium ones that count as like 3, one of the 3, but it's
Okay.
but the sprint, the super, and the beast. I don't remember I won't get it right, but it's like 5 miles, 10 miles, and 14 miles or something. Maybe I'm K's, miles, I don't know, but some distances, and then
Yeah.
you know, you collect all 3 for the year. You have to complete them. But that beast was definitely hard. Where did we do that? I don't remember where we did that at. Was that Asheville? Mountains? Was that the beast in the mountains? Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Oof, yeah, it was cold. Yeah, I remember your brother was deathly cold at the end of that.
He was freezing at the end of it.
Oh, he's kind of a crazy man, because he's like jumping back through the water several times.
Yeah.
I'm like, once is enough.
Kind of did it to yourself a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But that one is so long that you have to eat a sandwich in the middle of it. Like, you need food. Yeah. You need to refuel, you know, halfway through that thing, or you're not going to make it. And that's a long way.
It is, yeah.
Compared to the other ones.
Grueling.
Yeah. And I feel like they go from like sprint to like the super. You can kind of get through the super. Like, you could get through the super with only like 1 or 2 water stations they have. You don't have to bring water with you. But that beast, you have got to bring water for yourself, like a water backpack, and you've got to bring food. Like, you're not going to make it if you don't do that, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure there are humans that do that and they don't bring anything. You see some of those hardcore people, but that is not me. That's I'll pass. All right, so that was cool. There's says a little background, I guess.
Yeah.
How do you feel like all of that helps you or hinders you or whatever your opinion is with your life now? Like you're a student in college. So how do you harness that?
I mean, I feel like it's been those experiences and those like the challenges and then the solutions to those challenges that you come up with. I feel like going through all of that, it has helped me in college because it's like the black belt test in particular was so physically demanding and then so mentally demanding because when we were sh- uh, sh- doing all of our karate because we did literally everything we know. We
Oh yeah,
demonstrated it.
multiple times.
Yep, and it had to be correct.
Yep.
It had to be correct.
Yep.
And that was very mentally exhausting, and then also very like spiritually exhausting.
To say the least. That was probably where I was most tired.
Yeah, very exhausting, and I feel like that sort of like exhausting you on like so many levels, and then going through that and triumphing through that. I feel like that makes everything that you do that's less than that in the future easier.
Yeah.
And then I can kind of see that same thing played out in smaller aspects whenever I do other smaller tasks.
Mm.
Like, so we had to write one of the requirements in order to take the black belt test is we had to write a 20-page essay.
Mhm.
And that was very time consuming because it wasn't like a research paper, it was like our thoughts on karate.
Yeah.
And that I think that helped me just in school and in general, writing out my ideas and thinking about them. I feel like that helped me out. So like every time I go to write an essay, it's always significantly shorter than that.
I don't
So
imagine
it's
you
not
get many
yeah.
20-page essays assigned to you.
So it doesn't suck as bad.
Yeah.
Like a lot of stuff just doesn't suck as bad as it did before, and that definitely feels pretty great.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? We do so many things in life where we feel like we have to, you know. And it helps me sometimes to reframe to remind myself that I get to do this. I'm choosing to do this.
Right.
Right. And if I can do that and I can sort of center myself with like I'm doing this because I want to. Don't let
Yeah.
it turn into something that is something you don't want to do. I don't know how to do that necessarily other than just reminding myself that like doing this because I want to be here. I chose
Yeah.
to be here.
I feel like uh, training karate for so long and then going through with the black belt test, I feel like that period of growth from like starting karate and then finally making it all the way.
Mm.
I feel like that kind of teaches you how to do that because I definitely feel different about martial arts before and after that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Because like early on, and it's like I'm a little kid and I'm just doing it because I'm getting dropped off here
Yeah.
after school. So it's like it's kind of like I'm not really doing it really,
Right.
and I'm not really doing it for myself, and I not don't necessarily want to do it. I'm just kind of doing it.
Yep.
And that's where a lot of the people, especially kids, I mean, they just kind of do it as like a sport, like you would do any other sport as a little kid. But like a lot of people quit just in general with all martial arts. They kind of quit after a while because they don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
And there's a lot of reasons to that. Some are more valid than others. But I feel like ultimately it's finding something that you want to do so much that you're willing to go through this big, like jump over this big hurdle and then realizing that you jumped over that big hurdle. And I feel like now every time I do martial arts, it's just such there's such joy with doing it every
Mhm.
time because it's like I'm not doing it because I have to. Like the feeling of like going to karate class before and after the black belt test definitely has changed.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I mean, it's more of a, I don't know. It's more of like I think maybe you're just sensitive to the fact that it is a journey, that you're still on. You're lucky enough to still be on. And, like I was kind of, because you have this target your black belt, whatever, it's your target. You work on that for so long. A year's a long time
Yeah.
to prepare for something. Like it's just out there over your head, and people are reminding you. Like I got to the point where I'd see someone and be like, "Ready?" Like,
Yeah, that
stop
was.
talking to me about this. Like
I got it.
I
I
saw you
got it.
yesterday. Yeah,
Mhm. You said this yesterday.
I'm the same person. Like all I did was sleep between yesterday and today. Stop asking me that question. Um, but you work, and then you get through it, and you're done, and you're like, "Oh, I'm not done."
Right.
Like there's so much. Like I don't know. I don't know everything. Like most of the things I don't know. Like there's
Yeah.
so much um, left out there to experiment with. To even the things that I've learned, like I don't even understand them. Like there's just so much to unpack.
There's so much to do.
And like, wow, you kind of want to get started on that.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
like, it's cool. Yeah, it's like the pressure's still there, but it's not the same because it's more like you're like a scientist, almost. Like
Yeah,
I
I definitely
imagine
feel like that.
like a scientist looks at, science, like figuring stuff out. Like that's where I am with it, my own personal thing. So you've helped, I mean, you taught, you worked there, you worked at the dojo we trained at, you were an employee, and then you taught there and all that stuff. And you've been helping me teach. And like before you went away to college, you helped me a lot teaching. What's your thoughts on teaching others? Just the other night, you were teaching a friend of yours. I was watching you. What's your thoughts on that?
I feel like teaching in general, teaching a concept is probably the best way to further your understanding of it.
Hmm.
Because so since I've been teaching karate, I've gotten better at teaching, which helps me explain things to other people
Yeah.
just in general. And it also has helped me deconstruct what I'm teaching, because learning something for the first time and then teaching something for the first time are so different, because you need to figure out like what you need to tell them. You
Yeah.
need to figure out
Yeah.
like if you actually know the concept enough to be able to teach them,
Yeah.
because you can't teach them everything about a concept as much as you want to. You just don't have the time to do
Well,
it.
they can't comprehend it
Right.
in that moment.
Right.
Like they're not ready for all the information.
And then as you teach, it's this process of like you notice another thing that like they specifically need help on, and then you realize how to deconstruct that specific detail that they need help on,
Yeah.
and then that clues you into another smaller detail. And so it's this like
Yeah.
explorative process where
Yeah.
you're finding something and then you break it apart,
Yeah.
and then you feed them pieces of it, and you break those pieces apart and you feed them pieces of that,
Yeah.
and it's like learning how to do that like fluidly. That process helps you put it back together and apply it much better.
I've found that is harder than actually learning it from someone else the first time, in my opinion. Like for me, that's harder, more difficult than actually just being in a room and learning it. Because at least you're learning it. You're just like, oh, I'll do that, and then just go practice that until
Right.
they're telling you you're not doing it wrong anymore. As you just keep going. But to like have this, like, okay, I have to. This person has a goal, and I have to help them reach this goal. And then how do I do that? Like, and
Right.
and not only that, but like be responsible for that person
Yeah,
getting to that goal. That's a whole nother thing too. Like, yeah, that's a lot of weight.
it is.
I mean, if you care about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
But it definitely feels I definitely enjoy that aspect much more.
yeah.
And it definitely changes the way you think about specifically martial arts, but also in general. Like whenever someone teaches you a new martial arts concept, now I understand what they're doing when they're teaching it to me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I'm And I'm when I learn something new, I'm not just focused on doing it. I'm focusing on understanding it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're like, I'm probably gonna have to tell somebody else at some point.
Right. I'm probably gonna I'm
I need
probably
to
gonna have to
catalog.
teach this to somebody.
Yeah.
How are they teaching it? Why are they teaching it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are they messing up on in teaching it? How do I know that? All these different details.
Mm-hmm. So this is something I wanted to bring up. I don't have a ton more things unless you do, but you started, and there's a lot of people, right? And you got close to the end. You know, you got your last cue or rank before you're invited to test, and there were people there who were going to test with you, and we were helping some of them to try to get ready and stuff. And then they didn't do it.
Yeah. Man.
They quit completely. And I'm not picking on those people in particular, but that if we're comparing it to that same feeling of being in your car and being like, man, why am I going in here? Or I don't want to, and that whatever pushes you to actually go in there and do it versus those people. What do you think about that? I mean, how did you overcome that versus those people that just couldn't get there?
I'm glad that you brought that up because I definitely feel like experiencing like a lot of close friends quit karate.
Yeah.
And so I go from hanging out with them all the time because I see them I hang out with them after school for like 5 hours or whatever
Yeah,
because
right.
we're at
Forever.
the dojo. Yeah.
Like for your entire life,
Yeah.
basically, to that point.
For like a decade. And then they quit and now they don't come here at all. And now I
Seen
only
them since.
I only see them in school and then I've graduated and I don't see them at all.
Yeah.
And it's like it's pretty heartbreaking.
Right.
But it's like I don't know, it's just like feeling that. And then it's like I don't know, kind of because it's kind of like you get to a point and you have to decide. It's like when you're doing karate or you're doing any martial art and you get to that point. For karate, there's a couple points in karate, but the main one is like black belt because for us in particular, because of the test.
Well, yeah, but it
takes full commitment. So if you're not fully committed at that point, you have to quit.
Yeah,
because it does take full commitment to continue. And it takes full commitment regardless because it takes full commitment to continue doing it your whole life. Otherwise, you'll eventually quit.
Right.
But I feel like experiencing that before my black belt test and then going through my black belt test, it's like there's no going back now. Like I've already committed to doing martial arts for the rest of my life. I'm not going to go back on it anymore.
Right.
But then thinking back to like people quitting, and it's like, I mean, there's not necessarily any shame in that because they have their own lives and
priorities are different
and they grow apart. People grow apart.
Yep.
And then it's just like that
no
feeling.
words.
Yeah. Because it does suck to feel that, and it's like there's not really anything you can do about it. Because like teaching people, you have that feeling like you're putting stuff into them, and then they have to reciprocate in order for anything to happen. Because you can work as hard as you want teaching someone, and then they have to reciprocate equally in order to get an equal result.
Yeah,
they have to. Yeah. So if they don't want to do it anymore, then they're not gonna do it. You can't make them do it.
Yeah.
No matter how much you put into them, they're not gonna continue.
Yeah. They're either gonna do it or not.
Yeah, and just that feeling is like I don't want to do that because I've already put so much effort into something that I do genuinely enjoy, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to quit it.
Yeah.
And quitting means not going to class.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Why does it take so long to understand that? It's painful. It's painful to watch too when you have students that quit.
Because you're watching someone spend so much time working towards a goal and ultimately to fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just it hurts to witness that.
To fail by choice.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it kind of even worse. You're like, because not doing something is also a choice, right? You're choosing not to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like when you're in a situation and you need to speak up to maybe defend someone or whatever. Not speaking up is also a choice.
Right.
right? It's also so you're, there's no reason, but people just, they don't dig it anymore or whatever they do. I don't know. It's definitely painful. I could see that from, I mean, I had some people that, did I? Yeah, there were some people I started with that didn't kind of get there, I don't know that I was as close to any of them, but I suppose maybe it's a little different. It's not really, because I teach adults. It's the same shit. It's the same shit.
Right.
That's funny though. But yeah, but you don't hold any hard feelings towards
No.
them. You just kind of,
No.
you're just kind of like, oh well,
I mean, ultimately, I wish they had continued because it
yeah,
would be pretty cool.
right.
But it's whatever.
It is what it
I
is.
can't control them, so
Yeah, there's probably some very valuable lessons there too, in terms of how you
right.
deal with other people. Yeah, I've learned over the years to never overestimate someone and to never underestimate someone. Because usually the people that I've seen, it's usually the most talented and the people that the things come to the most easily. They're usually the first to quit, and
That makes sense.
it's usually the ones that are somewhere in the middle. I don't want to say it's the ones that struggle the most, but it's the ones that they have to work for it. That usually the ones that I've seen have stuck with it. Because I think maybe they value the effort they've put out
Right.
more than if it just seamlessly comes to you and you're just naturally talented. And that's awesome. That's a gift, It's like, man, it's kind of a shame that you're not seeing this through,
Yeah.
like man, but
But it's
yeah.
not. It won't be as valuable to you if you don't put in as
Yeah,
much
right.
effort.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And I'm
Right.
often like, could you imagine how awesome it would be?
Right.
But oh well. It's like you said, you can't control
Yeah.
them. Any last thoughts or anything you want to bring up? You good?
Nope.
Cool. This has been fun, man.
This has been
It's been
fun.
fun talking through. We've never, I mean, of all this stuff, and we talk about that like one-offs, like whatever. But never like sat down and had a straight up conversation about those things. And I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed getting to know your thoughts and feelings
I've enjoyed this
on those
too.
things. Good. Awesome. So we'll check in again in another 10 years. We'll see how it goes. Well, thanks, man.
Yep. Thanks for having me.